Stephen, we're finally here. The season is upon us, and we're not too far away. You came in midway through last season and didn't really have too much of a preseason or anything like that. What's it been like to have that full preseason with the players this year?
Yeah, look, huge for myself, the staff, and obviously the players. It's difficult in season coming into to try and put your own stamp on things. And yeah, we came into a situation where we had to try and manage that, and that was at the time, obviously making sure Glenavon stayed in the top flight. So yeah, look, a difficult moment to come into, but having this period of time over the last 6 weeks has been really good for us all.
We went to Germany, what was quite an historic moment for the club. How did you find that, and what sort of benefits do you think there were for you as a manager, the coaches, and the players?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, an incredible trip. Like we were treated like royalty, to be honest. Everything laid on for us. And I kind of set the tone, set the tone for the trip, and obviously we were able to create a real positive working environment for the couple of days that we were there, and we've ultimately managed to get multiple training sessions in and a really good game in terms of high caliber opposition. We may not play a team of that level within our own league this year, so it's good to get your eyes opened, and to to what football is like on a European basis. So no, listen, for me it was brilliant, and obviously getting the group of players together in that setting for for 3 full days where they're eating breakfast together, lunch together, dinner together, and team meetings together on the pitch together. So really important, and I think I think we've benefited massively from that.
There's been much made then of the kind of this new era which you're a part of, with the new badge, sponsors, kits, the change in the guard with the board, and obviously yourself and the coaching setup you've got here. What have you made of that so far, and how involved have you been in those changes?
Yeah, in terms of the structural changes behind the scene, zero involvement. I was employed by ultimately Adrian and Fraser here at board level. Obviously, Fraser has remained, which is good for continuity. In terms of the new board, knew Glenn briefly, obviously from him being involved in the academy as a coach, and obviously match days here. You would have conversations, but some of the new guys I wouldn't have known until now. So yeah, so look, it's a fresh approach, different ideas certainly, but for me, it's ultimately my job remains the same in relation to preparing the team on training nights and match days. But no, I think it's been extremely positive. Like right down to the new sponsor, new gear. It all looks really um, clean. It's very nice, refreshing. And ultimately, we've made a few changes within the squad again ourselves, which freshes things up for moving forward.
Suppose on that, there's been, along with those changes off the pitch, there's been quite a lot of made about our sort of different style of play and a few different tactics, and obviously personnel as well that you've brought in. What have you made of the new signings and how they've settled in? Also, how impressed have you been with the adaptability of some of the more seasoned pros that have been here since before your time?
Yeah, I think that it's important to sit back in this moment. Like a couple of days out from the first game of the season and really refresh our memory on what's actually took place. Like we had a big January window where we've ultimately signed players in the goalkeeping position, obviously the full back positions and wide areas, and then you looked at this window and we've strengthened the whole spine of the team. From a team and squad standpoint, we've took in two centre backs, two midfield players, and two centre forwards. So it's been the squad has evolved, in my opinion, in the last two windows, and ultimately, we've strengthened it by 11 or 12 bodies, which means decisions were ultimately made in terms of some of the squad that was here. But we had time to reflect on that and time to work with players, and we just felt there was areas that we needed to improve upon, and we certainly feel we have done that. And I'm listening to a lot of people saying we've a small squad. We've a 21-man squad here, and potentially still in the market for one more player. So, we took over a 22-man squad here, so we're one shy of where we were. So look, I think what we've managed to sign is players with a lot of adaptability. We've trialed many different setups, many different strategies over pre-season, and listen, in the thick of it, it's been generally successful. We entered the season here. with bar maybe one player, Barney McKeown, who's got a slight strain on his medial. Everyone else is still intact. So we're in a really, really good place coming out of a 6 week program and an off-season program. So yeah, listen, we're very happy where things are at. We have more to do. We're not expected to peak game week 1. We'll be ready, and adrenaline will get us through that. But 5 games in the month of August, you got to let games then take care of themselves, and ultimately that will get us where we need to be come September. But certainly we want to be competitive and pick up as many points as possible early on.
Suppose then, as part of the changes there's been a few players come and go, but obviously we pride ourselves here on bringing through youth team players as well. You've let a few of those guys go out on loan. What's your hope for those guys?
Yeah, well, look, obviously we extended first and foremost the contract of two in particular, the two Harrys. One remains because we feel he's ready, he's knocking on the door. And the other Harry done extremely well. Harry Norton done extremely well in pre-season, but we're littered with three side players there with DT, Snods, and Jamie Doran. And I'm not saying he wouldn't have played. He absolutely would have played a part this season. But for his development and my background in terms of youth development, it's important that Harry goes and gets another 30 games under his belt. Um, Obviously, AP's gone out as well, which probably may seem a little controversial. But again, we've took in two centre forwards that are ready. AP again for us probably just needs that exposure week in week out, and he couldn't be guaranteed that. So selfishly, we could have kept him here, and you know his development would have been reduced to maybe just a couple of minutes off the bench and the odd start. Which for him now, it's such a breakthrough year. He's had that opportunity to come in, and obviously he's had to try and carry the team at the tender age of 19 last year. So for me, this year is really, really a breakthrough year for AP, and it's important that he goes out on loan. And then obviously we've got young Cohen Henderson gone out to Banbridge. The loan move didn't quite work at the second half of last season. So it's important that he goes and gets 30 plus appearances. And again, we took Bobby Dean back in for a look, and obviously Bobby's situation at Institute last year again didn't quite work out. So it's important that these guys get minutes, and we don't just keep them around for numbers.
We get down to it then on Saturday. First game of the season's finally here. It's a trip to Carrick. Over the years, that fixture's been generally quite good for us, but there's also been quite a few erratic games and a few interesting scorelines. How do you see it shaping up?
Look, it's going to be extremely tough. Like, Carrick are a well organised outfit, and, have recruited some big names on top of some big names. So, they're a club that's trying to push, for the right end of the table, I suppose. And we have to meet that challenge head on. This club hasn't won an opening day fixture since 2017. And, ultimately, good starts is something that, probably hasn't happened in the last couple of years. So, we're conscious of that. And we're going to try our very, very best to have the best start possible. But it's a tough away day. It's a tough place to go to do well at home. But we had a bit of success there last year, and we'd be hoping to continue in that form.
And finally, I suppose there's been much made of Glenavon as a club and on our chances this season. A few people even tipping us for relegation, finishing bottom of the league. What would you say to, first of all, those people, and then second of all, generally to our own fans for this season?
Look, it's a 38-game season. I'm not going to get bogged into, not going to get bogged down on people's thoughts. I believe we've recruited very, very well over 2 windows. We've got tremendous experience right down the centre of the side now, in every department, and we've got plenty of youth. We've got plenty of adaptability. We feel the squad's in a very, very good place. And look, listen, we know 10th place wasn't a good enough finish last year. We left a lot behind in terms of the push for top 6 and that semi-final that we ultimately didn't turn up in. So, we've put a lot of wrongs right this season. But I feel we've got a squad that's capable of doing that. And, our main aim is to go into every game competitive, and that's something we probably weren't last year. So I certainly hope that we can achieve that goal this season.